When my sister-in-law tried to ruin my pregnancy announcement, she didn't just fail, she ended up in jail, and it tore their family apart forever. Here's how it all went down. Hey guys, buckle up because this is the story of how my sister-in-law Kayla went full-on villain mode after I announced my pregnancy, and how her plan to ruin me totally backfired and landed her in jail and divorce court. Spoiler alert, it's been 7 years since, and I'm finally free of the drama. So, quick intro, I'm 29, married to Harry for 7 years now, and honestly, our marriage is great, except for the one person who's been a constant source of chaos, his sister, Kayla. When I first met her, I genuinely liked her. She seemed fun, a little edgy maybe, but nothing too wild. But as time went on, it was like peeling back layers of a rotten onion. She's manipulative, toxic, and seriously draining. Harry once dated her best friend when he was 17, but they broke up. Kayla had this wild idea that Harry should be with her friend or even another one of her friends, because apparently she wants to control every romantic move in his life. When Harry was 23 and single, Kayla threw a fit and cried to their parents about how she wanted him to settle down with someone she approved of. Not exactly subtle. Meanwhile, while Harry and I were falling head over heels, his parents were cool and supportive. But Kayla? She was ice cold to me from day one. She had this annoying habit of dragging up Harry's exes whenever I was around. Like, seriously. Out of nowhere, she'd mention how great they were doing or suggest Harry should reconnect with them. It felt like she was trying to mess with my head. Harry thought it was weird too and asked her to stop, but you can imagine how that went. Kayla flipped. She'd start mocking me, calling me jealous, saying Harry deserved better than me. She even had this twisted hobby of inviting Harry's exes over whenever his parents called for dinner. Her excuse: I just bumped into them and had to say hi. Yeah, right. Social media wasn't safe either. Kayla stalked my Instagram like a hawk, always first to see my stories. If a guy left a comment, she'd complain to Harry about me posting inappropriate stuff. Honestly, Harry and I used to laugh at how ridiculous she was. Then came her best move, convincing Harry to break up with me, even though we were just living our lives and being friendly with her. She told him I was full of defects as a woman and that she could find someone way better for him. That one hurt, NGL. Things got worse after we got engaged. Everyone was hyped for us, but Kayla? She froze. Then suddenly, she jumped up and stormed out of our engagement party like a drama queen. Later, she bawled her eyes out to Harry, crying about how she deserved to be the first to hear about his engagement because she was the closest to him. She started texting me borderline threats, telling me to treat her brother better because she'd always been the only woman in his life. I was shook. I didn't reply. Every time I saw her, she'd progressively ignore me, yet she stayed involved in all the wedding stuff, showing up uninvited to dress shopping and my bridal shower. Even my mom-in-law and Harry had to call her out. Her constant criticism hit new lows. One time, Kayla overheard me chatting about wedding centerpieces with my future mother-in-law and immediately started mocking my taste, saying I had no class, and that's why Harry should marry someone else. That was the breaking point. I snapped. I told her straight up, she was no longer invited to the wedding. I couldn't handle her endless taunts and disrespect. The look of shock on her face was priceless, like she never expected to be called out. Harry backed me up, telling Kayla she'd lose her invite if she kept it up. She reluctantly apologized, but I just ignored it. Wedding prep was stressful enough without her nonsense. She did show up to the wedding, but wearing all black, like she was attending a funeral, complete with a veil. We were all stunned. She went around telling guests she was mourning her loss of her brother to me. At the reception, Harry tried to talk to her about her gloomy outfit, but she played the victim card, accusing me of being controlling. Finally, my in-laws had enough and told her to leave. That night was so embarrassing I vowed to keep her away from my life, and especially my son Nate, who was born soon after. Kayla opposed the no-contact rule, but Harry's parents totally supported me. After her heartbreaking miscarriage a couple of years ago, we softened up and let her visit Nate sometimes. She was surprisingly nice to him, which was shocking given her behavior toward me. But old habits die hard. Kayla's victim complex is real. She blames everyone from ex-friends to her managers for her woes and never owns her flaws. She got married recently and invited everyone but us, claiming I'd ruin her wedding. We called her out on the manipulation, and Harry's parents agreed to cut her off. Harry told Kayla they wouldn't attend or pay for her wedding if she kept excluding us. Kayla cried and blamed me for everything, but even her husband called her out, telling her to stop pointing fingers and fix her own marriage. She tried to stir up trouble by insinuating that Nate might not be Harry's son. That made Harry absolutely lose it. He told Kayla she wasn't a mother yet and that her child would be better off somewhere else. She was speechless. Since then, we've gone NC. It's been rough, but protecting our family is everything. After cutting Kayla off, I thought maybe things would finally calm down. Spoiler alert, nope. If anything, her behavior just got more intense behind the scenes. She couldn't stand being left out, so she started playing the long game, trying to worm her way back into our lives, or at least, trying to mess up mine. One of the wildest things Kayla did was constantly bug Harry about whether we had a prenup before getting married. Like, out of nowhere, she dropped that topic at family dinners, acting all concerned, but it felt like a jab. We both have good careers, and we agreed no prenup was needed. But Kayla's whole vibe was, watch out, he might get blindsided. She was basically planting seeds of doubt and suspicion where none needed to be. Her passive-aggressive behavior reached new heights when she started accusing me of meeting someone else, because she noticed I carry extra clothes when I go to the gym or work late. I was like, what? The gym is just my way to decompress, and yeah, sometimes I change there. But Kayla twisted that into a whole drama about me sneaking around. Her antics were so wild that Harry's parents, Mill and Phil, had to step in multiple times to tell her to stop meddling. They reminded her that she had no business poking into our marriage or making wild accusations. But Kayla was relentless. She'd joke about whether Nate was actually Harry's son, and those moments were brutal to watch. You could literally see the fire in Harry's eyes as he shut her down, telling her she wasn't a mother yet and didn't deserve that role. Kayla would break down crying, begging for sympathy, but Harry wasn't having it. He told her to focus on her own marriage instead of trying to sabotage ours. And honestly, that felt like a win for me because Harry stood up for me so clearly. We went full NC. No contact. No more invitations. No more chances. Yet somehow, Kayla found ways to stir the pot. She popped up at family events uninvited, making scenes and creating drama. At one party, she showed up dressed all in black again, like some twisted protest, saying she was mourning losing her brother to me. It was exhausting. The worst part? The rest of the family often just stood there, letting her get away with it. It wasn't just the drama, it was the emotional drain. Harry and I had to constantly shield ourselves and our son Nate from her toxic energy. When Kayla first met Nate after his birth, she tried to be nice. For a while, she actually was. She even bonded with him in a way that shocked me. But it wasn't long before she slipped back into the old patterns, complaining, gossiping, playing the victim, and blaming everyone but herself. Her marriage wasn't great either. She and Jamie struggled to conceive, and instead of looking inward, Kayla blamed her husband for everything. She'd vent endlessly to us, but always painted herself as the innocent party. Whenever I tried to offer perspective, she shut me down or changed the subject. Her behavior was so exhausting that Harry and I had to limit her contact even more. She wasn't just a problem for me anymore, it was starting to affect him too. Underscore 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 underscore. A turning point. Then came the big reveal. Kayla, after all the drama, decided to get married again. This time, she didn't invite me or Harry. When we asked why, she said she didn't want me there because I'd ruin her special day. I was confused. I hadn't done anything to her. So I called her, straightforward and calm, and asked why she thought I would cause trouble. Her answer. She was convinced I'd show up dressed all in black and make a scene, like she did at my wedding. Yeah, the nerve. I told Harry straight up how manipulative she was. After talking it through with his parents, Harry finally told Kayla they wouldn't be attending her wedding or contributing financially. She threw a tantrum, crying and blaming me for everything, but even her husband told her to cut it out. Kayla tried to spin it, saying I should just get over it because the wedding was ages ago. Later, she even contacted me, asking for forgiveness because neither her nor her husband's parents were helping pay for her wedding. Honestly, Kayla can be pretty convincing when she wants something. Against all odds, we let the past go and attended her wedding. It was actually a pretty smooth event, no drama from us. But less than 6 months later, Kayla showed up at our door, whining about her failing marriage and demanding to stay with us. Harry and I felt sorry for her. We thought maybe she had changed. But the truth? Kayla was still the same, constantly complaining, blaming her husband Jamie, and obsessing over our lives. She'd grill me about everything from why I go to the gym, to why I need to shower before work. I brushed it off at first, telling her I just like to keep healthy and clean. But Kayla always had this creepy way of watching and judging everything. Underscore 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 underscore. More drama at the dinner table. One lunch, Kayla was telling us about a friend who was divorcing and taking half her husband's assets. Then she abruptly asked Harry if we had a prenup before marriage. The room went silent, and honestly, I was pissed. It was such a shady question, especially in front of everyone. Harry told her straight, "We don't have a prenup because we trust each other." But Kayla wasn't done. She snorted and warned him that cheaters are everywhere, implying I was hiding something. That was it for me. I called her out. Kayla then accused me of seeing someone else because I carry extra clothes in my bag. She claimed, as his sister, it was her duty to warn Harry. Thankfully, Harry's parents put a stop to it, telling Kayla to mind her own business. But Kayla kept doubling down, insisting she was just looking out for her brother. Then came the worst insult, questioning whether Nate was really Harry's son because he didn't look like him. I saw Harry's rage explode. He told Kayla she wasn't a mother yet and that her child would be better off without her. Kayla was speechless, lips trembling. Mill and Phil just watched quietly as Harry stormed off. Kayla cried, called me shameless, a liar, and accused me of ruining everything. Harry reminded her that she was the one causing the chaos and that she should fix her own life. Eventually, Kayla ran out of steam and locked herself in the bathroom, leaving us all in stunned silence. Harry apologized to me for everything Kayla had said about our son and promised he'd never tolerate that kind of disrespect again. Since then, we've cut Kayla out almost completely. She's not allowed near our family events, and she has very limited contact with Nate. Her toxicity was hurting Harry as much as me, and we decided enough was enough. 2 months ago, we found out we were expecting again, a baby girl this time. We waited for the right moment, and on Harry's birthday, we announced our pregnancy at a family gathering. Kayla showed up uninvited. She apologized to me, saying she'd been going to therapy and realized how badly she treated me. I nodded, wanting to keep the peace in front of everyone. During the party, Harry gave a heartfelt speech about how lucky he was to have me. It felt like a fresh start. But Kayla? She stayed quiet and seemed irritated when we shared the news. Then came the moment I'll never forget. Kayla, in an awkward attempt at making up, brought me dinner herself and said she wanted to make amends. I was cautious but accepted. As I started eating, I noticed shrimp, something I'm severely allergic to. I pushed the plate aside and went to get my own food. Then Jamie, Kayla's husband, took the plate, assuring me he liked shrimp. Minutes later, he was violently sick, throwing up and eventually passing out. Everyone panicked. Kayla was crying non-stop, staring at me with suspicion. It was clear, Jamie had been poisoned. Later, police got involved. Kayla admitted to poisoning the meal but claimed she never intended to hurt me or the baby. The whole family was in shock. Jamie chose to press charges, and Kayla faced legal consequences. Harry and I leaned on each other, determined to protect our family from her toxicity. Despite the trauma, our family has grown stronger. Nate is an amazing big brother, and our baby girl has brought light into our lives. Kayla is in therapy and prison, hopefully working on herself. My parents and Harry's have been supportive, helping us heal. This family drama started with small manipulations but escalated to serious criminal actions. It's a reminder, sometimes, toxic family members cross lines that shouldn't be tolerated. Standing up, seeking help, and protecting your family is the only way forward. After the poisoning incident, everything changed. The house felt heavy, like the air itself was carrying the weight of Kayla's betrayal. Jamie was in the hospital recovering, and the cops were digging into every detail. It was surreal, how a family celebration turned into a crime scene. Harry and I spent hours talking, sometimes just holding each other and trying to process what had happened. It was hard to believe someone so close could go that far, but the truth was undeniable. Kayla's jealousy and bitterness had pushed her over the edge. Our families rallied around us, but there was still this lingering fear that she might try something else. We locked our doors tighter, installed security cameras, and made plans just in case. I couldn't shake the guilt about the shrimp dish. If only I had been more cautious, maybe Jamie wouldn't have been hurt. But Harry kept telling me it wasn't my fault, that Kayla was the one responsible for her actions. That helped, but the scars ran deep. We started going to therapy regularly, both individually and as a couple. It was tough at first, unpacking all the hurt and betrayal, but slowly it became a lifeline. I found ways to cope with the anxiety that would spike every time my phone buzzed, fearing another threat from Kayla. Meanwhile, Jamie decided to divorce Kayla once he was well enough. The weight of what happened was too much for their marriage to survive. Harry and I welcomed him back into our family circle when he was ready, offering support and reminding him he wasn't alone. It felt good to show kindness where it was deserved, even after the chaos. As for Kayla, the legal process was brutal. She admitted to everything, even broke down in court, but the damage was done. Her actions had consequences, and the judge handed down a sentence that would keep her away for a long time. Hearing that justice was served gave us some closure, but it didn't erase the pain. I also had to prepare Nate for everything happening. Explaining that sometimes family members hurt us and that it's okay to set boundaries wasn't easy. But he's a bright kid and understood more than I expected. We made sure to fill his days with love, laughter, and the normalcy he deserved. Life wasn't perfect, but we were determined to create a safe, happy space for our family. Slowly, the shadows lifted. Kayla's toxic presence faded from our daily lives, replaced by healing and hope. I still had moments of doubt and anxiety, but with Harry by my side, I felt stronger. Looking back, I realized how far we'd come, from a nightmare of family betrayal to a future built on love and resilience. And that's the story so far. Sometimes the worst family drama can turn into the strongest bond. Thanks for reading, and stay tuned for more real-life stories of triumph and struggle. The months after Kayla's arrest felt like walking through a fog. We were trying to rebuild not just our lives, but the trust and peace that had been shattered. Every day was a mix of relief and anxiety, relief that Jamie was safe and Kayla was being held accountable, anxiety about what the future might hold. Harry and I doubled down on our therapy sessions. It wasn't just about coping with the trauma anymore, it was about figuring out how to protect our family, how to set clear boundaries, and how to move forward without letting the past define us. I remember one particularly tough session where I broke down completely, feeling overwhelmed by the weight of betrayal and the fear for our baby. But the therapist helped me channel those feelings into strength. She said something that stuck: healing isn't linear, but every step forward is a win. We clung to that mantra. At home, Nate was a bright light. Kids are resilient, and watching him smile and play reminded me why we had to keep fighting. I made a promise to myself that no matter how dark things got, I'd protect his innocence and happiness. Meanwhile, Jamie was slowly regaining his health and confidence. Seeing him laugh again, joining family dinners, and talking about future plans helped restore a sense of normalcy. Our bond grew stronger because of everything we'd been through, and we made sure he knew he was always welcome. Kayla's absence was felt, but so was the peace her distance brought. Our social circle tightened, and we became fiercely protective of the little bubble of love we'd created. I started journaling more, documenting our journey from heartbreak to hope. Writing became a way to process the chaos, to celebrate small victories, and to remind myself that our story was one of survival. We also began to connect with support groups, people who'd faced toxic family dynamics and come out stronger. Sharing our story and hearing others gave me perspective and helped me see I wasn't alone. It was a gradual climb out of the darkness, but every step was worth it. As our daughter grew in my belly, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. This baby was a symbol of new beginnings, a fresh chapter where love would always come first. I was determined that Nate and his sister would grow up surrounded by kindness, safety, and respect. Looking back, the trauma Kayla inflicted tested our marriage and our resolve, but it didn't break us. If anything, it forged a deeper connection between Harry and me. We learned to communicate better, to support each other without hesitation, and to never take our family's peace for granted. This chapter of our lives is a reminder that even when family turns toxic, love can still win, but only if you fight for it fiercely. We're still healing, still growing, but every day feels like a step toward the light. Thanks for sticking with us through this story. Stay tuned for more real-life tales of resilience and hope. As the dust settled, Harry and I decided it was time to reclaim our joy. We couldn't let Kayla's actions define the chapters of our family's story. We planned small celebrations, quiet moments, and simple routines that stitched our lives back together. Nate was thriving, his laughter filling our home with a warmth that even the darkest memories couldn't erase. Preparing for our baby girl's arrival became a shared project of love and hope. We painted her nursery in soft pastels, filled it with books and toys, and talked about the future we wanted to build for both our kids. Despite the shadows cast by the past, we learned how to create light. I started to focus on self-care in ways I never had before. Morning walks, journaling, and meditation became essential rituals. I also found solace in connecting with other moms, especially those who had faced complicated family dynamics. Their stories reminded me that healing is a journey many walk and that vulnerability can be a source of strength. Harry and I grew closer, our partnership fortified by shared struggles and mutual respect. We made it a point to communicate openly, check in on each other's feelings, and celebrate every small win. The trauma Kayla caused was still a wound, but together, we were learning how to turn it into a scar that didn't hurt anymore. One of the hardest yet most healing parts was deciding how and when to tell Nate about his aunt. We knew it was important to be honest, but also to protect his innocence as long as possible. Together, we crafted a conversation that would give him the truth he needed without burdening him with adult pain. Our goal was to teach him about boundaries, respect, and resilience, the lessons we wished we'd all learned sooner. Jamie's presence was a bittersweet gift. Though divorced, he remained an important part of our extended family. His kindness and support reminded us that family can be chosen as much as born into. We included him in holidays and celebrations, ensuring that Nate and our daughter had as much love as possible from all corners. Through it all, I kept sharing our story online, not for pity, but to shine a light on the reality of toxic family relationships and the power of healing. The response was overwhelming, so many reached out, sharing their own experiences and offering encouragement. It became a community of survivors, each of us learning how to rebuild, forgive, and protect. This story isn't just ours, it belongs to anyone who's ever felt trapped by family drama, who's fought to protect their loved ones, or who's found strength in the face of adversity. As I near the end of this chapter, I'm reminded daily that family isn't perfect, but love can be fierce, healing, and redemptive. We're writing a new story now, one filled with hope, laughter, and a future we choose to create. Thanks for being part of this journey. Stay tuned for more stories that matter. Just when I thought we were finally moving forward, Kayla's shadow tried to creep back into our lives. It started with small things, missed calls from unknown numbers, odd messages on social media that seemed innocent but carried a weird edge. I tried to brush it off, telling myself it was just paranoia. But the unease grew when Nate mentioned overhearing Kayla's name in a conversation between Harry and his parents. They assured him it was nothing to worry about, but I could see the tension behind their words. Harry and I decided to face it head-on. We weren't about to let Kayla's toxicity seep into our sanctuary again. We began setting clear boundaries, tightening privacy settings on our online profiles, and limiting what family members shared with her. It wasn't easy, especially since some relatives didn't fully understand the extent of her past actions. There were moments when I felt like a villain for shutting her out, but I reminded myself that protecting my family came first. Therapy sessions became even more crucial during this time. They helped us process old wounds resurfacing and gave us tools to stay grounded when anxiety flared. I also leaned into mindfulness, practicing breathing exercises whenever old fears tried to take over. Meanwhile, Nate was growing fast, his curiosity blossoming and his questions about family and loyalty becoming more pointed. Harry and I knew we had to be ready to answer, to teach him about love, trust, and the messy realities of human relationships without breaking his innocence. One afternoon, Nate asked, "Mom, why doesn't Aunt Kayla visit us anymore?" My heart clenched, but I chose honesty sprinkled with hope. Sometimes, people make choices that mean we can't be around them safely, but that doesn't mean we don't love them or hope they can find their way. He nodded thoughtfully, absorbing the idea with a maturity beyond his years. In these moments, I saw the resilience that comes from love and truth. Kayla's attempts to disrupt our peace had only strengthened our bonds and clarified our priorities. The past still lurked, but our future was ours to shape, filled with possibility and healing. As the weeks passed, Harry and I found ourselves leaning more heavily on each other, and on the support system we'd cultivated. We discovered that real strength isn't just about standing tall alone, it's about knowing when to ask for help and embracing those who truly care for us. Our circle of friends and family became our refuge, offering laughter, understanding, and the occasional much-needed distraction from the chaos Kayla had brought into our lives. Nate thrived in this environment. His smiles grew brighter, his laughter more frequent. We made it a point to create traditions that celebrated joy and togetherness, game nights, weekend hikes, and lazy Sunday brunches where phones stayed silent and hearts connected. Despite the turmoil, we found moments of light. One evening, as Nate curled up on my lap after a long day of school, he whispered, "Mom, I love our family." That simple declaration was a balm to my soul, a reminder that the love Harry and I nurtured could overcome even the darkest shadows. We also prioritized communication, being open about our fears, hopes, and boundaries. It wasn't always smooth sailing, but it was honest, and that made all the difference. Therapy remained a cornerstone, providing a safe space to unpack lingering anxieties and celebrate victories, no matter how small. I also started journaling again, channeling emotions into words and gaining perspective on our journey. Meanwhile, Kayla's presence in our lives faded into the background. Legal protections and clear boundaries meant her influence was limited, but the scars she left required ongoing care. Harry and I committed to healing together, vowing never to let negativity dismantle the life we were building. Our story wasn't perfect, it had rough edges and painful chapters, but it was ours, written with resilience and love. In this new normal, we learned to celebrate progress, cherish peace, and look forward to the promise of brighter days ahead. With Kayla's chaos finally behind us, Harry and I focused on reclaiming our peace. It was a gradual process, like peeling back layers of stress and hurt that had built up over years. One of the biggest lessons we learned was the importance of setting firm boundaries, not just with Kayla, but with anyone who might threaten our happiness. We became unapologetic about protecting our space, both physically and emotionally. I remember one particular moment when Kayla tried to sneak back into our lives through a mutual friend's gossip. Instead of letting it unravel me, I calmly chose to step back and let Harry handle the situation. It was empowering to realize I didn't have to fight every battle, and that sometimes, silence and distance are the strongest weapons. We also started to rebuild relationships that had frayed under the strain. Some family members had taken sides, others had remained silent, but we reached out with open hearts, acknowledging the past but focusing on what was ahead. Nate became our little ambassador of joy, reminding everyone why family matters. We made a conscious effort to create new memories, vacations, birthday parties, even simple walks in the park became treasured moments of normalcy. It wasn't about erasing the past but about building a future where love and respect thrived. Personally, I took time to heal. I reconnected with hobbies I'd neglected, invested in self-care, and surrounded myself with positivity. Therapy continued to be a sanctuary, helping me process residual trauma and build confidence. One evening, as I journaled, I realized I was no longer defined by Kayla's actions but by the strength I'd found in overcoming them. Harry and I also talked openly about how this journey had shaped our marriage. The challenges forged a deeper connection and reinforced our commitment. We weren't perfect, but we were united, ready to face whatever came next, together. In the end, the experience taught us that family isn't just about blood, it's about loyalty, respect, and standing up for one another. As we look forward, we do so with hope, knowing that no darkness can dim the light we found in each other. After the dust settled on Kayla's drama, the real work began, healing from everything that had gone wrong. Harry and I realized that the emotional scars left behind weren't going to disappear overnight. We spent countless nights talking about the past, the betrayals, and how to trust again, not just each other, but the family we once thought we had. I started to recognize how much Kayla's toxicity had affected my own self-worth. It wasn't just the fights or the cold shoulders, it was the way she made me question myself, doubt my place in the family, and feel like an outsider in my own life. Therapy became more than just a check-in, it was a lifeline. We learned techniques to rebuild our mental health, navigate triggers, and support one another without losing ourselves. Friends became invaluable during this time. Some had watched the whole saga unfold, while others only heard bits and pieces. But all showed up with open arms and listening ears. It reminded me how important it is to have a support system outside of blood. At home, we made small but meaningful changes. Creating safe spaces where we could decompress, communicate honestly, and celebrate our wins, big or small, helped rebuild our foundation. Harry started cooking more, a surprise to both of us, and I embraced our new role as the family storyteller, capturing moments in photos and journaling. Nate blossomed through it all. Despite everything, his laughter was constant and healing. Watching him grow reminded me why fighting for peace and happiness was worth every hard day. We also had to face some uncomfortable truths about family loyalty. Not everyone chose to stand with us. Some distanced themselves, others took sides, and a few pretended nothing happened. Accepting that not everyone would be there was tough but necessary. I found strength in knowing that love isn't conditional on approval or acceptance, it's something you build and nurture deliberately. Now, with Kayla gone, our home feels like a true sanctuary. We've reclaimed our joy and made space for new traditions. And while the past will always be a part of our story, it no longer defines us. The future feels wide open, and full of possibilities. As the months passed, the shadows cast by Kayla's drama slowly faded, replaced by the bright light of new beginnings. Harry and I finally felt the freedom to dream again, without fear, resentment, or past wounds holding us back. We planned our future with intention. Whether it was small things like Saturday morning pancake rituals with Nate or bigger decisions like buying our first family car, each step felt like reclaiming control over our lives. Nate's presence was our constant reminder of hope. Seeing his curiosity, kindness, and laughter grow every day made everything we endured feel worthwhile. We talked openly with him about kindness and resilience, teaching him to be strong but compassionate, so he wouldn't inherit the bitterness that once filled our home. Our relationship, once strained, grew deeper and richer. We learned to communicate better, to forgive when needed, and to celebrate our victories, however small. Trust, once shattered, was slowly rebuilt brick by brick. Beyond just us, we nurtured our circle of friends who became chosen family. They lifted us up, helped us stay grounded, and reminded us that love isn't limited to genetics, it's about loyalty and kindness. Professionally, I found new confidence. The chaos at home had taught me resilience I didn't know I had. I tackled challenges at work with a fresh perspective, setting boundaries and demanding respect like never before. Harry and I also embraced therapy not as a sign of weakness, but as a tool for growth. We celebrated the milestones of healing, whether it was a good day without anxiety or a breakthrough in understanding each other's feelings. Looking back, the trials with Kayla taught us invaluable lessons about boundaries, self-worth, and the power of standing up for yourself. They also showed us how family isn't just blood, it's who shows up for you when it matters most. Today, we're not just surviving, we're thriving. Our home is filled with laughter, respect, and love. Nate is growing up in a space where he's safe to be himself, and Harry and I are partners, best friends, and co-parents ready for whatever comes next. If there's one thing I want anyone reading or watching this to take away, it's this: toxic family dynamics can be overcome. You have the power to set boundaries, protect your peace, and create the family you deserve, whether that's blood or chosen. Life is too short to live in the shadow of someone else's drama. Take back your story. Rewrite it with strength, kindness, and hope. Thanks so much for sticking with me through this story. If you've been through anything similar or just want to support, drop a comment or share your story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on more real, raw stories just like this one. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and take care of each other. Peace out.